Hey folks, this is Bill McGold-RIFFS, and welcome back to McGold-RIFFS. We're back with our COVID files. Again, I think this is my third one here from my cozy basement here in Norfolk, Massachusetts. And again, we got a special treat for today. We've done, this is our episode 29, and we've done about 20 episodes with guest guitar players, really some of the best guitar players in greater Boston. And each one of the folks that we interview, we do jam. We do a jam at the beginning, and we do a jam at the end. So what I've done, I've gone through all the jams, and there's about 20 of them. I have a bonus sort of solo thing with Robitaille, which is amazing. So I went through all the jams and found the ones I thought were the best. And it was really about August last year that I really started doing this with other guitar players. And the first person I had on the show, and the first jam you're going to see is from John Paolilli. And John's a great young guitar player. He might not think of himself as young, but when you're my age, John is young. And I first met John. He was playing at a concert somewhere, I think, in I don't know where it was, over in Medway, something like that. It was an outdoor concert. And at that time, I was writing my newsletter for my duo. And I did a little article on him saying the guitar solo is back. And, you know, he had just a Sunburst Les Paul, which is just like mine. When we did this jam, I don't know why I didn't bring my Les Paul. I should have, because it would have looked cool with the two of us. But I'm using my Paul Reed Smith. And so I saw John, and I think he's a Vox guy. He uses Vox amps, and he has a Rat overdrive that really sounds great. Sort of a throwback to the way guitar used to be, the Jimmy Page days, the days I grew up with. But John was our first victim on this show. And, without any further ado, oh yeah, the tune. And when I do these jams, I kind of just make up stuff. And this one was really cool. I don't know where I cut this. It's like it's in the key of B, but it starts in a 4. And I tell you, you can tell the measure of a guitar player when you just start riffing on something like, and they're able to right away be able to play something on that, and as John did. And there's a little bridge part. There's a diatonic sort of rise. Kind of a cool thing, and he picks right up on it. And take a listen. Here it is. It's episode 7, John Paolilli, jam number 1. Thank you.
3, 4. 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4.
Hey folks, again, here is my second jam here from the second time I had somebody come on the show, and another great young guitar player by the name of B.J. Knights, who plays all around Greater Boston area. And I met him through an old buddy of mine who's passed away, John Freitas, and really he's just one of these up-and-comers, and I love that he came on my show. In this particular jam, I'm playing my brand new, it's probably 2017, beautiful Telecaster, and he's playing his tripped-out Stratocaster, which is just amazing. By the way, I use a Blues Junior amp, and for overdrive, I have a Boss overdrive pedal. And again, like I told you, I just come up with grooves, and this is a typical groove that I love to play, which is something called a 2/5, and it's sort of a Latin thing. And that's red meat for a guitar player normally. You just go crazy playing various modal things over that sort of thing. And, kind of throw a curveball at young John, not a young BJ. I move it up a whole step. And he immediately got it. Then... no further ado, it's episode 8, jam number 2. Thank you. For our third jam, we have Professor Scott Cerulli of Berklee College of Music, my alma mater. But I don't know how I got Scott on this show. He's sort of a bigwig all over the industry. He's been interviewed by my favorite podcast, No Guitars Is Safe. And as you notice, he does play backwards and a bunch of illegal chords and illegal notes. He's just a true monster. He recently filled in for the great Skunk Baxter of worldwide fame with Steely Dan and Doobie Brothers, etc. And I guess Skunk couldn't do a gig, and I think it was a night. He had about a day to learn all these amazing tunes of Steely Dan, which he did, So he's great. I think it's G&L Guitar he's playing. I think he's sponsored by them. Amazing guitar player, does private lessons, is a Berklee professor. And again, and in this particular tune, I think it's called Funk 49 by Joe Walsh. harder to play on acoustic. You know the riff. I don't know why I thought of that one for Scott, because he really is a monster jazz guitar player. But it was fun to play, and he's on his G&L, and I'm on my Paul Reed Smith. And with no further ado, this is again from episode number 9 with Scott Terulli, roll tape.
Yeah.
Great job, man.
Thank you, man.
Okay, folks, for our 4th jam, we have the great Mr. Johnny Press, really a sort of legend around this area, great guitar player, well known, everybody knows, he's played with everybody, should be world famous, but that's just the nature of our business. Johnny's a great guy to play with, a very humble kind of guy. He and I have been doing a bunch of videos on Facebook and YouTube. He puts out a jam, and a bunch of guys will, men and women, will kind of play over it. But Johnny Press is, in this particular episode, is playing a beautiful Strat. I think he's had for a number of years. I'm on my Les Paul on this one, which is a tiny bit out of tune, as I notice now, but that's showbiz. So again, this is sort of a blues in G. Something like that. That sort of thing. Johnny, and I hope Johnny's going to be out playing. I hope we're all going to be out playing before we know it. And Johnny's gone through a lot in his life, some issues, and he's made it through, and he's playing better than ever right now. I think he and I are more alike than we even know him. We really only met once we did this episode last September in 2019. So without further ado, the great Mr. Johnny Press.
1, 2, 3, 4.
5th jam is with none other than blues master Mr. Todd Michael Smith. Todd is an amazing monster. I was playing at Fireflies, which is a great barbecue place over in Marlborough, Mass. And just went over to meet the guys who were playing, and then there's a big room, and then the little room I played in the outside. So I walked in the big room to see who the big players were, and I met Todd Michael that night, and we just kind of connected. I liked him right off, and started following some of his music. He's a true blues master and a really cool guy. In this particular jam, this was jam number 2, and this is what we call like a blues, a minor blues. You know, you kind of hear "Thrill Is Gone," something like that by B.B. King, and guitar players love to play over this sort of thing. That's and that's in the 1 chord, the 1 minor. You go to the 4 minor. Playing a minor 7 chord, same thing. Then a flat 6, it always sounds good. F major 7, the Hendrix chord, the E7 sharp 9. Listen to Todd Michael wail on this one. Thanks. So for our next jam, I have Mr. Joe Mack. Again, no slackers in this group, man. This is just some amazing guitar player followed by amazing guitar player. Just a cool guy. He comes in looking cool. He's got the hat going on, and just a cool Strat that's kind of lit up somehow. I don't know how he does that. And just a great sound. We did a, you know, like a Stormy Monday type thing. That sort of thing. And it's just, again, red meat for guitar players. We love to play over something like that. And especially that. I do like a. They call it Salmon Monday, etc. So, but Joe has been playing forever. He won some big contest where you get to play with Steve Vai, which is pretty scary. As good as it gets. Look him up on Facebook. He's always posting these cool things and playing these amazing things. And again, one of the qualities I've always blown away with every single guest I've had on this show is humility, humble, and I don't know, you know, it's just great guitar players with no ego, good guys, and it's just been really my honor to have met and actually played with some of these guys. And without further ado, the great one, Mr. Joe Mack. Next up, again, amazing, Jodi Frawley, really nationally famous guitar player, as good as it gets. I can't speak. As good as it gets. She's right now in a bunch of different bands. She does her own thing, but she also is in a Prince tribute band, which, if you know any of the Prince guitar parts, that's a lot to take on. People are going to expect a lot when you're doing that sort of stuff. Again, I'm not picking one guitar player over the other in this list of amazing guitar players, but Jodi is right up there, and I've not gotten enough women on this show, and I keep on looking for them. I've made some offers to some other folks without luck thus far, but maybe once we get shooting again, we'll get going. And so Jodi's playing, I don't know what the guitar she's playing. It's definitely got some beautiful humbuckers as I'm looking at it right now, and it's a Strat-ish, and she has the guitar. The amp was also a very cool amp, and I guess she's friends with another friend of mine, Art Kniff, who told her about that amp. Is it called Splunk? I forget what it is, but it's just a great sound, really kind of a raw sound. And what we jammed on something I've been doing since I was like 15 years old, jamming on stuff like this. This was like a this is a E9 chord with a 7 in it, and that's typical. Big droning low E. It's really blues. Again, I just stopped playing these sort of things, and the level of these guitar players I've been having on the this show, they just immediately pick up on it, and you can hear it's just a great raw sound. And again, this is from episode 13, jam number 1, Miss Jodi Frawley. Next up is Mr. Joe Filoni, and this is from episode number 14. And Joe's a great guy. He plays with another good friend, Hirsch Gardner. He plays in a bunch of things. And he just, I'm looking at this video right now, and it's just such a beautiful red guitar. And sorry, Joe, I don't know the manufacturer. And I know Joe's one of these guys who's sponsored by everybody. I'm sponsored by nobody. If you want to sponsor me, cool. But other than that, Joe's got this beautiful guitar, and he just wails on it. And I forget what we even played on this, but it's sort of a minor type thing that, you know, guitar players love to jam on minor tunes. Joe's great. Joe's playing everywhere, and check him out on social media. He's always doing these unbelievable videos of just smoking guitar. He just wails, and he wails on this particular jam. Again, from episode number 14, Mr. Joe Frawley. Next up, Mr. Gary Backstrom from episode number 15, which we did last fall in October. And Gary, again, another amazing guitar player. He's playing this sort of souped-up Fender amp, it looked like, and a beautiful Strat with a beautiful maple neck. And he has his own thing. He's been playing forever. Everyone knows Gary. He's a North Shore guy. And he comes from the jam world, as you can see from this jam coming up, which is essentially a 2-5. And, you know, again, any questions you have on this, Bill at billmcgoldrick.net. Anything I say you don't know, just email me. But it's like a D minor, D minor 7. And again, when I say a minor, I can throw in a million different tensions, like a 7th or, you know, flat 9 or flat 5 or whatever. But normally on this... typical example, most professional guitar players, the minute you start playing that, off they go. And he does a lot of great little ideas. You got to really listen to some of the phrases he does. Again, the great soloists are speaking while they're playing. You know, he does like a da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da, da-da-da, things like that. Just a very, totally creative guy. And definitely check him out. Check out all of these folks, everybody for the most part. Again, any question as to who they are, whatever, just send them to me. And check out Gary. He's great. Again, we're all doing things from home these days and whatnot. He's doing stuff on the internet, and but we'll all be out playing before we know it. This thing's gonna pass. It's just a momentary craziness. And but Gary, check him out. He's got he's on all the Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all that stuff. Gary Backstrom, and here he goes. Okay, episode 16 was where this jam came from. And this is the first time having my first rock star. I've had a couple of rock stars on this show. I mean, real rock stars. Guys who've been in the lights, playing major auditoriums throughout the world. And this was my first one for this show. And Mr. Hirsch Gardner, who was the drummer of the band New England. And New England had a big hit way back when in the 80s, and they were great. And Hirsch has been in the business forever. He's from Toronto up north, and which reminds me, you should go back to all these episodes. They're on my YouTube. They tag onto my YouTube, and they're also tagged onto NCTV, their YouTube as well, because Hirsch has a great story. All of these folks have great stories. Hirsch was right there with all the bigwigs during those early 80s. I think his first album was produced by the guy who produced the first Kiss album. You know, big sort of things like that. You know, had one big hit and just never had something else after that. But Hirsch has been doing it forever, and he's a major league producer right now, producing a whole bunch of folks. He's still active. He's still doing his own thing. And this particular episode was the first time we had three people on the show. Me on my Paul Reed Smith, and Hirsch, who's a drummer, but he's also a great singer. And he sang in New England, and he's singing in his own projects, and he's on acoustic. And my buddy Joe Faluni from episode number 14 is his right-hand guitar player, and Joe is back on the show for this particular thing. And I think this particular tune, it's sort of a ba-da-bum, ba-da-bum, you know, that sort of thing. And Hirsch does sing on it. It's the first time we've had any singing on McGold-RIFFS, because nobody wants to hear my voice. That's what I'm told. But this is a great one. Check out the full episode. It's a great story. And with no further ado, Mr. Hirsch Gardner.
1, 2, 3, 4. It's a brave new world. I got a new life to live. Another day on earth. Always something more to give. Got a song to sing. Another story told. Give me sanctuary. Life can be so cold. If you need to talk, I'll be there for you. If you need to talk, I'll walk your way. If you need to talk, I'll hold your hand. If you need to talk, just come my way. Just come my way, Joe. All right.
Okay, next up, from episode number 17, jam number 1, the one and only Mr. Ricky King Russell, probably the number 1 blues guy in this area, major league player. In this jam, we're doing a kind of a slow blues thing, like that sort of. That sort of thing. Ricky is a legend in Greater Boston. He's played with everyone, and he's played everywhere. He's playing a beautiful Strat in this episode. Beautiful maple neck, and I love the maple neck. I have a Telecaster with the maple neck, and just take a listen to this jam here. Just the ease with which Ricky plays. just and again, you should go back to this episode 17. Great story. Just a cool guy. Very kind of relaxed. He knows who he is, and he's also gone through some challenges in his life. Is thriving right now and doing very well. And it was really my honor to have met with him and actually played with him. And again, Ricky King Russell, right here.
Well, now, every now and then I wonder who's loving you tonight. You told me, baby, your love for me was strong. When I woke up this morning, your big words were gone, but that's alright. I know you love another man, that's alright. Well, still now, every now and then I wonder who's loving you tonight.
Next up, Mr. Nat Saralamba, a great young guitar player all the way from Thailand, a Berkeley, my alma mater, Berkeley College of Music graduate, and lead guitar player for a great, one of the, probably in the top Bon Jovi band in this area called Wanted DOA. Great kid. Great playing, and I have no idea how we met, but just an honor to meet this young man who I think is going to go far. He just needs a break. That's all it is, and a few of the folks I've seen break nationally, it's just luck. Sometimes you meet the right person, the right thing happens, and Nat is the kind of guy it's just going to take that break. And again, I'm glad I got him on our show before he became too famous. And this jam here, again, it's sort of a Steely Dan thing. Do it again. Do it again. La da 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 da. Real red meat for a guitar player, the wail over, and he wails over it. He brought this weird little sort of pedal board of some sort, just kind of a flat thing. that you can essentially I guess it's sort of what do they call it, the modeling type world, where they are using computerization of some sort to simulate the sounds of big amps. So you can plug this thing into a big PA, use inner ear monitors, and off you go. It's the type of thing would fit in the overhead or under the front of you if you're doing a lot of traveling. And a lot of bands are doing that these days. But Nat's a monster. Check out him. He's always putting stuff out during this pandemic area on social media and just wailing. And he just has a great tone, great attitude, great kid, and I'm wishing the best for them. And again, Nat Sarah Lamba from episode number 18, Jam number 1. Next up, the one and only Mr. Baxter Hall from episode 19, which we did last November. Baxter Hall is probably the youngest of the guitar players that I've interviewed. True monster. This kid has nothing but a great thing to look forward to in his career. I know last time I talked to him, he had an album coming out that was being produced by Mr. Duke Robitaille. And Duke, you do have an invitation whenever you want to come on this show once this pandemic is over. But I had Baxter on last November, and he's got these old guitars, man. It's like, I think that's a Les Paul Jr. I'm looking at right now. I'm looking at the jam from there, and it just sounds great. And the tune that he picked, I don't know if he probably picked it. Maybe I did, but it was ba-da-da-da, ba-da-da-da-da-da, hideaway, ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba-bum. Nice blues in E, and again, being the typical guitar player I grew up in the 60s and 70s, you know, I thought that was an Eric Clapton song, and it's interesting, the real blues guy, I always fake, I'm a Swiss Army knife guitar player, I go from a waltz to, you know, Van Halen, anywhere in the middle, faking it all for the most part, but Baxter, people like Ricky King Russell. These are real blues guitar players, and they know. That's why back in Ricky's episode, he goes through some history of the blues stuff I don't know. A lot of the guys who grew up with me in the 60s and 70s, we thought a lot of this stuff was written by Eric Clapton and Jeff Beck and Jimmy Page, but there were guys well before that. But this is the tune here, and again, check out Baxter Hall. He's all over, the streaming services and whatnot, and he's very active in Instagram. He's doing a bunch of cool videos on that, and there's so many guitar players doing so many cool things like that. It's really hard to keep up with, but Baxter's one to keep your eyeball on. This guy's gonna go far. Okay, the hits keep on coming here. From episode number 20, jam number 2 from last December. Mr. Charlie O'Neill, one of the members of the Delta Generators, a great band in the local area, playing all the big places. This was just, again, top-level guy. No ego. He comes in with a hat that looks like he just was out on a tractor. Just playing a beautiful old Gibson SG. Guitar I always wanted when I was a kid. That exact one, that exact color. It's sort of a maroon color. It's what Pete Townsend used to use years ago. And if you notice what he plays, he's got these long fingernails, so he does a lot of finger picking stuff like that. Great guy, great player. Very humble. He just wails on this, and it's another one of these. Again, I watch a bunch of these jams, and I'm starting to repeat myself. I stuck, but when I go to the 4-chord, I change it up a little bit. And he nails it. Great guy, great band, Delta Generators. Again, Charlie O'Neill, episode 20, jam number 2. Take it away, Charlie. Okay, episode 21 brought my second rock and roll superstar onto the show, Mr. Mark Bell. Mark was the lead singer for a number of years, for a period of time with Joe Perry Project, and just wrote a book and published it last year called Once a Rocker, Always a Rocker, which I read, and it's just a great story, a great book. He might be a little bit older than me, but we were playing around the same places. And he was playing a lot of really he was at the end of his musical career, he thought at least, until he got a great call that brought him on stage with Joe Perry. And he rode that and rode it well. And, I really envy that sort of thing. Great talent, great guy. Came into the studio and he was playing, we do it like... tune that he just came up with, and it's a great rock tune. And again, his book is called Once a Rocker, Always a Rocker. If you grew up in this area in the 70s and 80s, you will know a ton of people. Yeah, I'm sure you may actually be in this book. Great guy, and had great fun with this one. Take it away, Mr. Mark Bell.
Well, the joint was rocking, going round and round. Yeah, reeling and rocking. What a crazy sound. And it didn't stop rocking till the moon went down. You know, it sounds so sweet, I had to take me a chance. I rose out of my seat, you know, I had to dance. I started moving my feet, I was clapping my hands, but they didn't stop rocking, going round and round. Everything in the rocking, what a crazy sound. And it didn't stop rocking till the moon went down. All right, Bill, go get 'em. Look at this. About 12 o'clock, you know the joint was packed, front door was locked, you know the joint was packed. But when the police knocked, them doors flew back, but they didn't stop rocking, going round and round. Everything in rocking, it's a crazy sound. And it didn't stop rocking till the moon went down. Let's do it one more time. Keep on rocking, round and round, till the moon went down. And it didn't stop rocking till the moon went down. Hey.
Episode number 22 brought Mr. Seth Rosenblum onto the set, and major league player, Major League Blues guitar player, won the top blues guitar player in the city of Boston last year, playing with some of the major folks. Has his own music out. I remember his last album was with Larry Carlton's son. Larry Carlton, one of the greatest guitar players of all time, is the bass player on Seth's album. And, again, it was, I'm just lucky that I'm able to get anybody the level of a Seth Rosenblum down to our little town of Norfolk. And we had a good time just sort of jamming on of a, like a B-flat shuffle. And he wails away, and I don't know what this Strat is. It's take a look at this Strat if you can on this. It's got some wear and tear on it. It's a 50s. I don't know. It's probably a 57 Strat. I don't know what it's worth. It was worth more than the studio, I think. But again, thank you, Seth, for coming on board, and take a listen to this guy, Mr. Seth Rosenblum. Thank you. Okay, episode number 23 brought Mr. Tony Savarino to the wilds of Norfolk from the city. Monster guitar player, great guy, unbelievably beautiful Telecaster. You got to listen to this jam. He just does so many cool little tasteful things. You just got to follow this guy. You got to follow all of these guys. But this tune, I think this tune is one of his that I kind of did my own thing with, but it's an A minor type thing, so like then back to A minor, then a 2/5. I love that sort of thing. Again, red meat for a guitar player. They love the kind of wail on an A minor type thing like this. Again, he's got his own social media stuff. He's got his own albums. He's teaching all over the greater Boston area. I think Cambridge, Somerville area over that way. Again, it's just it's been humbling and just an honor to meet and play with these sorts of guys. And just all of them are different. All of them are creative. Most of them are crazy, as most musicians are, in a good way, in a positive way. And it's just been such a great community to bring these guys together. And Tony's great. Thank you for coming on my show. Listen to this guy. Okay, episode 24 brought Mr. Jim Robitaille all the way down up from New Bedford, Massachusetts, where he's a professor at UMass Dartmouth. Again, I'm a pretty confident guitar player, but when Jim comes in and you listen to some of the things he does, it's like, holy moly, can I even play with this guy? As good as it gets. Listen to this jam, and it was something I pulled on him minutes before we even started shooting. It's like an E minor thing, C major 7 or C9, and I love to jam on things like, and then kind of a blues, and he goes nuts on this. something like that. And you know, just tremendous technique. Look at his right hand, look at his left hand, and again, technique measured with taste and style and artistic sort of playing. Just, you got to listen to this. And right after this, I also will put a video of a solo piece he does that is just amazing off of, and I think this particular tune is off his most recent album. And again, it's Jim, Robitaille. He's all over the place, has new albums out there. He's going to be back out playing live once we get going. But again, this came from episode 24. It's going to be jam number 1, and then a solo piece he does within the episode as well. Take it away, Jim.
This is called Slow Tuesday.
Episode 25 brought Mr. Dave Levine out to our studios in Norfolk. Dave's a monster, local guy. I think he's in the Canton area, but spent most of his career out in L.A., and actually is a big wig on YouTube, has thousands of people following him. Watch his videos. Watch and learn. He breaks down solos like Kid Charlemagne from Steely Dan, note for note. And this guy is an amazing monster. And like I said, I am repeating myself because I did the exact same jam that I did with Jim Robitaille in the episode 24 with Dave. But, you know, again, it's red meat stuff for guitar. Ba, 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 da. We go nuts on that sort of stuff. And Dave has a beautiful white Strat that he brought. And it's all tricked out. It's got all kinds of cool things on it that I don't really understand because I'm an old guy, you know. But Dave is amazing. Just unbelievable technique this guy has. And you got to check out his social media. Tremendous learning experience for young guitar players. So check out Mr. Dave Levine from episode 25, which we did. We did this in middle of March, right at the beginning of this craziness. Right now, March 23rd is when I posted that. So this is one of the last ones where we were in studio. I think we have one more after this. So again, Mr. Dave Levine. Okay, from our last jam that we were in studio, which was episode number 26 with Mr. Chris Turp, a great friend of mine. He and I are in the same group of musicians in the Milford area that we get together and jam and have a good time over there. And Chris came in really also in the middle of March or so. As we were entering this period of time we're going through right now, and brought in this beautiful, I don't even know what it's greenish, bluish, beautiful Strat that's all tricked out. It's got all kind of fancy pickups and stuff like that. And Chris is a great guitar player. He's playing a lot in the Worcester area with his wife, and they got a band. And again, we'll all be back out there before you know it again. And I am repeating myself in these jams, because it's you get the studio, hey, what do you want to do? And that sort of thing is always sort of a standby. Go right ahead and with the E dominant 7 chord, etc. And so Chris takes it away and blows away the room. And again, we will be back doing these episodes. I wanted to do these episodes where we could do it from home and kind of recap some of the cool things that we did in the show over this past year. It's been just over a year now that we've been doing this. I want to thank the staff at Norfolk Community Television for helping me out with this. And again, without any further ado, Mr. Chris Terp, episode number 26, jam number 2.